This week is an invitation to honor this Holy Week and the preparation time before Easter from both a feminine and masculine perspective, along with integrating the psychological to understand why this time can be so tender and also be a time of new life and new beginnings. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, and welcome to I'm Perfectly Divine podcast. This week, I want to discuss with you the tenderness that you may be feeling as we enter Holy Week, and to look at Holy Week from both a divine feminine and divine masculine lens, and some of the deeper teachings on transformation, sacrifice, and resurrection. And I don't know about for you, but this is, for so many years, this time of year has always just been a tender time. And it's a time where I know, and I've learned throughout the years, that there is another shedding of the ego. And it just seems always so divinely timed with the story of resurrection. And today I want to get into some of the deeper meanings that I believe are there for us if we are willing to have the ears to hear and eyes to see from a different perspective. And I think that's what excites me about the different layers to the Christian tradition, as well as other traditions that are interwoven within Christianity, and what we can gain from understanding these traditions from these multiple layers. And I don't think it's by accident that so many of us feel the tenderness of this time and the sacredness of sacrifice, because we've all gone through our own versions of sacrifice in our lives. And I think there is something very powerful for us to embrace, honor, and witness within ourselves and within the stories told regarding sacrifice. And the whole pattern that continues to come forward is that when we give something up of a lower nature, we are allowing ourselves to be liberated to greater love. And what I appreciate about Jesus's story is that he honestly shares his own struggles. I mean, when we are given someone that is guiding us on how to live our lives, it's not about this perfected state. It's the strongest form of compassion is to demonstrate the aspects of where you have felt vulnerable. It's not about this, putting someone up on a pedestal. And that's what I so appreciate about Jesus. He never wanted to be on a pedestal, and he wanted to share the truth of where he hit up against aspects that were hard for him as well. And so we get to hear this so deeply and profoundly when he is crucified, and the vulnerability and sense of lostness and abandonment when we hear in both the texts of Matthew and Mark, where he states, my God, why have you forsaken me? And I think about the times where I have felt that. I think about the times when I've worked with clients and they have felt that. And what this story gives us, what Jesus gives us, is showing us that despite him knowing his divinity, he too knows and shares the feeling of abandonment with us. Like, how giving is that? Like, we are not alone. He came into human form to experience what we experience, to show us the way through it. And this is such a key point to take in, that we are never abandoned, even and especially, I would say, despite when things look the most horrific. And we're being shown that when things are at their worst, it is a sign of death, of an old way of being, of an old way that we have outgrown, even if we can't comprehend that, and a new way is going to resurrect in its place. And yet we go through the sacrifice, the torment, the suffering, because there's something about that release that allows us to embody a knowing and a love that we couldn't experience otherwise. And what I know for myself and for the people I've worked with is that we get upset at the divine when our life hasn't gone as planned, when things don't go as to how we would want them to manifest in our life. But we're missing the point that of what our soul has chosen for us to experience, not the divine. Our soul, I believe, chooses certain experiences that we know are going to allow our soul to grow, to remember, and to embody, to gain that level of self-gnosis where we know the love that we are and we become fully human. And the divine is there with us and is there around us and supporting us through our experiences. And the divine will continue to support us regardless of how we choose to utilize our free will, if we choose to remember or to forget. And, it's ironic, but not, that I used to wonder, with judgment for sure, how do people get so stuck? How do you get so stuck? We have this free will, we can change our lives, and it's true, right? But then we are given experiences where you get stuck and you keep entering that same hamster wheel and you don't even realize that you're doing it. You can't see, why do I keep getting certain outcomes? And I was given that experience so I can understand it and find deeper compassion. And that's part of why most of us do get stuck, is because we've been judging something over here. And it's like, okay, well, clearly we don't have understanding. And so here's a way to bring understanding and compassion so that we can hold and be greater love. And what I found was that when things on the outside look like they aren't going well or not your way, is exactly when we are in deep transformation. and our minds can't comprehend it because it's beyond what our minds understand, because there is a union and a transformational experience on both a spiritual and soul level. And the soul being the blueprint of the spirit that is letting go of images that we have bought into about ourselves so that we can be more of the divine image and a mirror of the divine. So what I also know is is that I have been in a place of stuckness, when I've seen people in a place of stuckness, we lose hope. And your desired experience seems more like a pipe dream than, and it's never going to happen, and it's not meant to be yours. And then it becomes too painful to keep dreaming. It feels like you are dreaming an impossible dream. But this is key, especially when we look at the resurrection story, because that was looked at as impossible and it was doubted. And yet, for those with ears to hear and eyes to see, it could be received. It could be taken in as a pathway to show us the way how to live the way of love. And what's important to remember in these instances is that the desired experience you want hasn't gone anywhere. Even when we are in that stuck place and it seems like it's impossible and it's not ours and to have or what have you, the truth is, when you are in that stuck place, you are making it more possible and probable because of the inner work you are going through, and that you're inwardly clearing the way in order to receive what your heart truly desires. We just have to keep in mind that what our heart truly desires may look different than how the ego interprets how it should look. And this always reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Under the Tuscan Sun. And it's an old movie, but it's great because it's this woman who goes through a divorce, and I think she was cheated on, and she's just like, life sucks. And she's like, I'm just going to do something crazy. And she goes to Tuscany, and she has these dreams for herself, and they do come forward, that just in a different way. And that through that, her challenges, she evolves to be able to receive the life that was meant for her to experience. So it's just a beautiful expression of death of one life and resurrection of a new life. And typically the challenge that comes through as we go through that experience, and how it's, again, it's not going to always look like how our ego interprets how it should look. And what we also are being guided to remember during this time is, just because you haven't received something yet, it's not because you're doing anything wrong. And this is the part of manifestation work that can drive me crazy, is that it's like you're not, you're focusing on things wrong, you're somehow not good enough, you're not good at manifesting, or you haven't done enough internal cleansing and clearing. And it's not any of that. Because let's be honest, we know and see people who manifest stuff all the time and have all this stuff on the external that has nothing to do with them being good enough or having cleared their energetic field, right? There can be manifestations that happen because of a manipulation of the field. And it may work in the short term, but ultimately it's going to create an internal separation from our true selves and from the love that all of our souls deeply desire to experience. And we know this is happening when people get very caught up in manifesting, and the ego needs to feel special and manifest more and more and more as a way to prove that you're aligned enough, powerful, because you can manifest, right? And so these are the ways we've got to be careful because manifesting actually is our birthright. And it feels good to experience the power of our birthright and to know that we can co-create with the divine. But it's how we co-create. How do we want to co-create? And we're being shown something special here, that what the Easter story is showing us is how to manifest from a place that sacrifices identities that our human nature gets attached to or identifies with, and instead to manifest for the greater good, manifest for a higher love, a higher consciousness. And so it feels, when we know that we have everything within us already, there's a different level of which we manifest. And our hearts can call in, sure, material things, things of the external that would feel good, experiences, but we don't need them, right? It's like the cherry on the top, and it would be enjoyed if we received it, and if it's for the highest good of all. But you trust in what wants to come through, and you trust that the highest expression will come forward for you, because it's just natural for it to do so, because this is how the divine works, how the divine has implanted certain desires for you, not just for the desired outcome, which the love of the universe so wants to give to you as the cherry on top. But the true gift is who we are remembering ourselves to be and embodying the love that we are. And so what I appreciate about Eckhart Tolle and his work with manifestation is that he reminds us that we don't manifest to make ourselves feel better, or feel better about our life, right? We go to the ever-loving presence by simply breathing into our hearts, that is always, always available to us in each moment. And from there, to allow what wants to be expressed within our lives to simply have the space to unfold and to be aligned with our truth in that way, and in our hearts and in our knowingness. And what I found is that when we feel hopeless, it is a signal of being in duality consciousness. So for me, when I have felt hopeless, I am momentarily forgetting my divinity, which is my truth. If you feel hopeless, you are momentarily forgetting your divinity, which is your innate blueprint. You are in the image of the divine. And what should give us hope is that Jesus momentarily forgot too. It is human that in the shocking, traumatic, horrific experiences that we go through as humans, that we are going to forget. And the experiences that have dumbfounded me, left me angry, left me screaming WTF at the divine, and saying the same thing Jesus said. How could you abandon me? How could you do that after I've shared so much love for you? And we all know what it's like in that moment of just not being able to see how something so painful that is beyond comprehension could be leading us to greater love. But we see this in the stories of resurrection over and over. And it's not just Jesus's story, it's Inanna's story. And Inanna's story goes back even further to 4,000 years ago. Jesus is 2,000 years ago. And in both stories, what we get are their bodies being nearly naked or naked as a sign of humility and is left hanging there. For Jesus, it was on a cross. For Inanna, it was on a hook. And it's not by coincidence that their physical forms are left for dead. The body is temporary, but our souls go on. And life is our opportunity to work through the ego trappings that create disharmony, and in order that we can resurrect as the full embodiment of love, experienced through union with our spirit and our souls being the image of the divine, which happens when the garments we wear over our soul that are ego based, that we identify with as us, are left to die. And they showed us the way 2,000 years ago with Jesus, 4,000 years ago with Inanna. They are showing us to recognize life beyond physical form. Jesus and Inanna were both considered royal. Jesus was not given, he didn't take the name, but he was called King of the Jews. Inanna was a queen living a life of royalty, and both of them willingly said yes to a calling of their soul that they couldn't fully comprehend, that they were going on a journey, that they were going somewhere, that they were divinely called to go. And they trusted their inner guidance, and it led them to pain and to humility and to surrender. I mean, take that in for a moment. How familiar does that sound to our human experience? We trust ourselves and then we're led to dark times and we don't know what the heck is going on. But in the darkness, that's where the transformation is taking place. And this is where we begin to integrate into our being new life. And we resurrect a new way of being that knows only more love, because that is a power that is beyond what a title can give us. And this is how we begin living as our eternal self. More liberating. And what both Inanna and Jesus are teaching us is to let go of our external powers, right? So Inanna was guided to release all aspects of her hard-earned power as queen. And Jesus was chastised for being able to save others, but not himself. Both are showing us that as we sacrifice our human identities, the things that make us great, the things that we've achieved, we transform to greater love as we sacrifice that belief. They're showing us the way to remember the eternal love that we are. And that's what matters. That's who we truly are. And we are given guidance to understand that resurrection isn't separate from suffering. It's born through it. This is why the Easter egg and the egg in general has always been a symbol of resurrection, as in what seems as this still lifeless thing, the egg actually holds new life. And so for Christians, there's this symbolism that comes through. The shell is the sealed tomb. The crack is the moment of resurrection. And life inside is Christ emerging from death. The connection to the symbolism of the egg, and the resurrection also becomes reinforced through Mary Magdalene. After the resurrection, Mary Magdalene went to Rome and encountered the Roman Emperor Tiberius Caesar. She proclaimed to him, "Christ is risen." The emperor reportedly responded, "A man cannot rise from the dead any more than an egg in your hand can turn red." And at that moment, the egg in her hand miraculously turned red. And it's not by coincidence that the color chosen is red. Red is symbolic of the divine feminine, of the red blood that is bled through women monthly, through half of our lives, because this is the symbolism of bringing forward new life after sacrifices are made to liberate ourselves from the images we hold of ourselves, to reconnect with our true blueprint of being made in the image of the divine. And so we're constantly shedding. And that is what the divine aspect of the feminine that is missing when we understand spirituality. So often, again, spirituality is I'm connecting to the higher realms and my humanity is less than. And we have interpreted that because we've had a male patriarchal view of spirituality that's all about the above. The above is important. The above is the remembrance. But the divine feminine is the embodiment, is the knowingness within our hearts. And this is how we become fully human, is by bringing union to both. So rather than see the divine as being superior to our humanity, we hold the wisdom that one leads deeper into the other. In other words, we can't fully embody our divinity without truly loving, honoring, celebrating our humanity and what it offers us uniquely. And we can't fully embrace our humanity unless we are connected to our divinity that is always helping us to remember the love, the truth, the power that we are. And this is what's been missing in most traditions, and certainly in Christianity when we've taken away Mary Magdalene out of the story. She is the inner witness that knows transformation is real, even when others can't recognize it. That's why Jesus told her that she is the one that has the eyes to see him and the ears to hear him, because of her heart, because of her willingness to transform her soul to be liberated from the ego so that she could see with the pureness of her heart. And she's guiding us to do the same. And we are being guided to integrate both. This is a love that becomes embodied through the body, where it is more than a mental construct, but a felt one. Experiences must be lived to gain gnosis, to truly know in every fiber of your being. And this life that you have right now has been your golden ticket to know the love you are, as you are, in this moment, and to decide in each moment how to continue to grow that love, because it just feels good and right to you to do so. And even if circumstances haven't visibly changed yet, the inner state has. that's what you've been doing when you do the psychological elements, because you are allowing yourself, your soul, to be liberated. And this inner state of remembrance allows you to create new dreams that carry the highest good for the collective consciousness to come through your life. And that's not a small thing, right? We have no idea how it's going to play out. It doesn't have to be this big, grandiose thing. It just has to be you listening to your heart and being willing to have ears that hear beyond the noise and eyes that see what others may not be focused on. So I understand the part that stops dreaming, that or certain dreams you don't want to go there anymore because it feels too hurtful to open your heart again to that desire, because you just feel like all you're getting back is evidence that that desire will never be yours, will remain unrealized. But what I know is that your heart has the capacity to hold your dream and to navigate the momentary time of not having it. And it's part of the experience that you're meant so that you can know, meant to go through so that you can know your true love and power that you are. That has nothing to do with the external. And so as you go through such a specific, highly tailored experience of life, which is guiding you to listen to your heart, to align you more and more to both your humanity and divinity as one, that's where you will find the freedom to be born again in more of your truth, love, and power. So your desire remains steadfast right there, ready for you to put your energy towards it again, knowing your heart's desire has been divinely given to you. It's not by accident that your heart wants to receive this. It's a part of your path to both remembrance and embodiment. The important aspect is not to need your desire to fulfill you. Instead, you welcome your desire for its joy, for its expansiveness, for its teachings, while already holding the joy and expansiveness that's already you, that's already a part of your life. So again, your desire isn't meant to fix you or your life. It can't. It's expanding upon the goodness that you've already been blessed to experience. And it's knowing that this is what love naturally does. It expands and it shares. It cannot help but to ripple out into the world. And so with that, you already know it's done. It's done. And we've seen that promise through the resurrection. Our work is to open our hearts to both our humanity and divinity, and open ourselves to the possibilities and potentials that are supporting us to receive. Because in doing so, we have more to give. And we find more and more joy that is able to flow through us as we give. Because that is the divine way, it's balance, and it's the way of love. So I leave us with honoring this sacred time, the tenderness for the sacrifices you have made, the sacrifices shown to us to show us the way, so that we may become truly human and remember our humanity and our divinity are one. And we can't experience the fullness of that without the other. And may you feel supported in remembering that this greater love that is awakening more deeply within us and within the world is happening. And we know this because we have been shown that through the pain, there will be new life, that the old is dying and a new way is resurrecting in its place. So honor yourself for having the ears to hear, the eyes to see differently, that sees beyond the chaos, while being able to walk with the chaos in our humanity, with love, with power, with integrity towards your truth, and carry this forward within your heart. I'm so excited for what is coming forward and the new life that will be birthing through you that will bring greater love into this world. Thank you for being on this journey with me. May these holy days be times of reflection and honoring of your sacrifices, your hard work, your devotion to living the way of love. I honor you. I thank you for walking this with me. And until next time, know that there is nothing to fix. Just remember. I'll see you next week.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual, and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.